Hello and welcome to Ham Nation episode 533 for November 9th, 2022. And hello, everybody. Thanks for clicking on Ham Nation again here on the Ham Radio Crash Course. Packed show. Lots of people to talk to. Lots of fun stuff going on in amateur radio. So we're going to get started right away by welcoming our guests. How's it going, everybody? We got Valerie back there way up in the corner. Sorry I had to squeeze you in there, but thanks for being with us. How you doing, Valerie?
Oh, I'm doing great. Getting ready for Hurricane Nicole because I'm in the Florida QTH. As you can see, no radios behind me, but I do have some sad news to report. For those of you who haven't heard, my buddy who we did a lot of hurricane recovery, disaster relief, Andy Anderson, AA0WX, passed away this past week. So he had been with me, was part of the Force of 50, and we went to Puerto Rico, and him and I also rescued dogs down in Texas together. So rest in peace, Andy, and you were a good soul, and we're going to miss you, especially with your public service. So appreciate that. So, but stick around later. I'm going to be up at the top of the hour here, and I've got a great guest, and we've got a really cool contest. You're going to want to stay around for that.
Well, we're sorry to hear that. Rest in peace, Anthony. Or Andy, sorry.
Andy.
Andy, got it. Randy, how are you? Good to see you again, too.
Yeah, I'm doing fine. I'm still alive. I haven't been doing a lot of ham radio, but I got really wrapped up with a whole bunch of digital stuff in the last couple of weeks. So we'll talk about that later.
All right. Looks like Gordo I think he has his invisibility suit on right now, so we'll come back to him. That's a green screen behind him the whole time. That's, Don, how are you doing?
I'm good. We're enjoying some unseasonably warm weather. It was like mid-80s all week, and we're finally going to get into something a little bit more seasonal, into the 70s today, and they're saying 50s by the weekend, but it's been incredibly dry, which... believe me, Valerie, we've had our fill of hurricanes, so it's we'll defer this one to you guys. We hate to see it hate to see it hit anyone, but always better when it stays away. And yeah, Andy was a good guy. Andy sent a bunch of us Hawaiian shirts, and he sent me this Hawaiian shirt. So I'm wearing this shirt that he sent me from Hawaii. In his memory. Yeah, he was a good guy. We do not have Dr. T tonight. She has been otherwise engaged, but we do have the news of the week from the group at Amateur Radio Newsline, and we'll get to that momentarily. Josh, back to you.
All right. Amanda, and how are you? What's going on with you this week?
I'm fantastic, Josh, and I think everyone in the chat room can agree. It's because the elections are over, and
Thank
we can
goodness.
empty our mailboxes and our text messages. And how did they get all our phone numbers, by the way? I don't even know. So that's nice. So it's a good week. It's going well. My sister's coming from Santa Barbara this weekend as well. And my mom, happy birthday. Her birthday was yesterday. She just turned 70 years old.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Mom. So I'll be staying in chat room all night long, taking your questions, and you're going to have a lot tonight and a lot of comments. And I'm going to be sharing those with our guests as often as possible. So stick around. It's going to be a full one.
Yeah, so we're going to go straight to Valerie, and she's going to tell us all about the Intrepid DX and what's going on with them.
Very good. Yeah, well, this guy's sitting over here. I can never get it right. Paul Ewing, N6PSE. He is the president of the Intrepid DX group. But this guy, he was like a trailblazer back in the original when a high tech first came out. I mean, he was an IT cyber expert for like Google and Yahoo back in their early days. Like you said, when 6 people worked at Google?
Yeah.
Now I don't even know how many work there now. It's got to be crazy. Plus, he's been on some serious de-expeditions himself. It would put Jerry to shame. He's been to like some scary places: Yemen, North Korea, South Sudan, Ethiopia, Iran, Iraq, and then Myanmar, Eritrea, South Sandwich. You got to meet Monk Apollo and Mount Athos. Which is a whole island just for monks. I don't know how you got permission to. How'd you get permission to get on Mount Athos? Is it hard?
Complicated.
It is?
That's a whole story in itself.
Did you have to write him a check, or you just get on the island?
We had to pull some unique strings.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's a hard one. I know no women are allowed there, for sure, right? So that was pretty cool.
Yeah,
But the main reason we're here is we want to talk about the Intrepid DX group, and you've got a really cool contest coming up. So why don't you tell everybody about this essay contest?
Yeah, thank you, Val. Thank you for having me on your show, and good evening to everybody out there. Part of the mission of the Intrepid DX group is to promote amateur radio in developing nations and to promote amateur radio among the youth of the world. And we've done a number of things in person in Ethiopia, in Addis Ababa, on Rotuma Island, which is a possession of Fiji. And then when COVID struck, we were kind of stuck at home, and we thought, how can we continue our outreach and not travel? And I came up with this youth dream rig essay contest. And we've expanded the contest this year to include licensed amateurs 19 and younger in the US and Canada to write a 2-page essay about how amateur radio factors into their career plans. And the essays are due here at the end of November. And the grand prize is a brand new Icom IC 7300. And second and third place prizes are a Yaesu FT65R handy talkie, one of these. And we encourage every youngster 19 and younger in the US and Canada to submit an essay. If you have any questions, you can check out our Facebook page, Intrepid DX group on Facebook, and it's got all the details there. And don't be discouraged. Last year's winner was a 10-year-old boy. So
wow.
He just wowed us with his essay. In fact, you can read his essay on our Facebook page.
At that age, you still want to be a fireman, right?
Yeah, well, I did.
So, yeah, and I think it's under the news section when you go to the website, Intrepid DX Group.
It's outdated, though, it looks like. It looks like it's a little outdated. It looks like last year's update. Okay. So we'll get an update there.
Okay. Yeah, I'll get that updated. But if you have Facebook, the Intrepid DX Group on Facebook is up to date.
Okay.
And we've got all the rules for this year's essay contest. We expanded it out this year to Canada. We hope in time to be able to expand it out globally, but we want to avoid some of the tricky international customs regulations that we've experienced in some of our travels. Like, for example, the duty to import a ham radio into Ethiopia is 50% of the product value.
Wow. And
you either pay up or you don't import it. So some countries are kind of complicated. So we're keeping it for US and Canada for this year, and we'll with a goal to expand it further.
Very good. And so they have until the end of the month. They can be any class license. It could be a tech.
Any class license.
Okay. And it's just essay based, so just two pages, you said, right?
Yeah, 2 pages. Tell us how amateur radio factors into your career plans. We've done 2 previous essay contests in the previous years and asked similar questions about their feelings about amateur radio and how can we keep it interesting for young people. How can we bring more young people into the hobby? Those are the type of things that we're interested in. And we share the essays. We publish them on the Facebook page, and everybody can see. We've got some really brilliant input from the young people in this country. It's really, really rewarding to be engaged with these young people and get their input.
Now, what are some of the other things Intrepid DX is involved in? For those who are not aware of the club.
So in addition to the essay contest, we're always looking to travel and conduct amateur radio exhibitions or de-expeditions. We've done a number of them over the years. Our first one in 2010 from Iraq. Then we went to South Sudan. We've been to Ethiopia, Eritrea. We went to Conway Reef and Rotuma Island. And then our last one was in South Sandwich and South Georgia, down near Antarctica. And we've been really busy trying to get permission for some of the very difficult and hard to reach islands around the world, and some of the more closed nations. And we try to have a dialogue with the consular people in those countries and try to remove any obstacles so that we can do amateur radio. Some of those rare entities are very rare for a reason. They're very, very
getting the SUP, the special use permits.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
And
So anything that you can talk about that might be on the horizon? Probably not.
Well, we're very actively pursuing some very rare islands in the South Pacific, as are others. And we hope that at some point our government will accept our proposals and allow us or another group to go forward. We're also working with some very, how do I say it? I got to be very diplomatic here, particularly because this goes on the internet. We're working with some countries that have been kind of closed-minded about amateur radio to kind of give them a comfort level that we could make a successful operation and yet meet their needs and demands. So we just don't give up. You know, we just keep going, keep trying.
Well, I'd like to put a plug in the Pacific for Midway. I need that one.
Me too.
That'd be a good
Some of
one.
the ones I need. But well, good luck on that. And when you get something, announced, I'd like to have you on and we can talk about that again. Now, I saw that you also did something on there about you do some kind of Intrepid DXer of the Year kind of thing, right? That's kind of cool.
Yeah, we've been trying to recognize sort of the unsung heroes of de-expeditioning, and we've tried to. Well, let me say, while we don't want to encourage people to go into harm's way and purposely go somewhere where they ought not to be, there are DXers out there that are living and working in places like Somalia or Afghanistan, or kind of scary places, and they're there and they're using amateur radio in a productive fashion while they're living and working there, and they really make a difference. They, it's not just they went there and they got on the radio, but like
The guy coming up in Crozet would be a good example. Really. It's coming up. Yeah.
For example, in Mauritania. I mean, he really put a lot of time on the air, and everybody's got him on practically every band. It's really, that type of effort. That's what's required to get the Intrepid Spirit Award.
And now, is this an open membership organization?
Yeah, we basically, the people that we list on our website, those are people that have gone on de-expeditions with us or have served as our QSL managers. We don't really have a membership type of thing. We don't collect any dues or anything like that. But if somebody wants to work with us in some fashion, we're open to that.
Okay. Yeah, because I saw the donate button in the members, so I didn't know. The donate is for when you have the de-expeditions or to help with the youth,
when we're
rigs?
fundraising, and right now we're not actively fundraising. So
all right.
So yeah.
I was gonna bring that question up, Paul, if you don't mind. Where does all your money come from to put all this stuff together and all this planning?
Well, when we do a de-expedition, we apply for grants from foundations and organizations that are purposed to support de-expedition activity. In the case of the Dream Rig Essay Contest, myself and some of the board members reach into our wallet to provide the prizes. We've also, last year, we were very, very pleased to be supported by the AMPER organization, ARDC. They sponsored our prizes, and we've invited them to be future sponsors if they're so interested. So
great. One, if you don't mind, Val, one follow-up question. And it's it's actually more of a comment. I really like the structure of come to work for the club and you can become a member kind of thing. Instead of pay dues to become a member, you put in the work to become a member, it sounds like. So that's a great structure, if you ask me. Anyhow, continue on.
No, I was just going to wrap it up to see if you had any questions from the chat, so.
Oh, I do have another question. How difficult is it for the youth to qualify for scholarships in amateur radio?
Well, I think that's a question better for the ARRL and some of the other organizations that do scholarships. I think the Northern California DX Foundation also does them. Our focus really is on organizing DXpeditions and doing our annual essay contest, which is underway now.
Perfect.
And my daughter got some scholarships when she was in college, and my son applied too. I think he got one maybe. But there's a couple places out there, if you kind of Google ARRL is that, and there's another one that manages a bunch of other scholarships from clubs around the country. And you apply, and they'll try and match you up with the club that's in your state, or if you're a YL, that's YL based. So they'll do, at the time, my kids are older now, but there was only 2 that managed a bunch of these scholarships for ham radio. So I don't remember the links, but you Google it and you'll find them.
Gosh, we'll have to bring a rep on for that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, apply at both places, and then they'll try and match you up and find you a scholarship. And there is a lot out there. Sometimes the money doesn't get claimed,
Okay.
So go for it.
One more question, Paul. How many people usually enter the essay contest?
Last year was our second year. We had 60 essays submitted. And the first year, I think we had about 24 essays submitted. So we expect to have in excess of 60. Maybe we'll get 80 or 100 essays this year. That'd be great. We'd welcome that very much.
Definitely.
From kids in the U.S. and Canada, age 19 or younger. The more the merrier.
And they have to be 19 by the end of November 30th?
Yeah, by submission date.
So if they, December 1st, they turn 20, or what? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I got a question.
And what's the Facebook page again where they can find this?
It's the Intrepid DX group.
Okay.
So if you search in Facebook for Intrepid DX and then group will come up.
I got a question. And Matt, this is the second one from Matt D. said, DXpedition is on my bucket list. I think it's on a lot of people's bucket list. How does one potentially join a DXpedition?
That's a great question, Matt. So basically, it's best to approach an organizer, a leader such as myself, and make your interests known, and also be ready to kind of share your level of enthusiasm, your skills, whether you're a CW guy or a sideband guy or do digital modes. And then if you have any other ancillary skills, that just adds to the value proposition. DXpeditions are not inexpensive. They can be pretty costly, and we have to pay everything up front. And so a lot of times when we do give people a call and say, we're organizing a trip, we're going here, and the buy-in or, the participation is X amount of dollars, people say, I can't do that. That's crazy. So it is expensive. You've got to be aware it's a lot more expensive than going to a luxury resort and sitting by the pool.
And the time away. Sometimes you're away 3-4 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for the answer. Thanks for that. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Well, also too, like he said, with the ancillary skills, if you're good at logistics or satellite uplinks or things like that, that's a sell or a doctor.
Yeah.
Or a doctor. Or
and
a
a lot
cook.
of these DXpeditions, the team members fund at least 50% of that whole DXpedition, and these things can be up to $1 million or close to sometimes.
Well, I think I would want to check their self-sustainable skills as well. Can you handle the cold? Can you handle extreme hot? Can you handle bugs? Those kind of things. Like,
are you a team player?
Yes, is your personality okay for this? So I think it takes a lot to probably be welcomed into a group of people that are aware of their surroundings. They're like, well, you're kind of an outsider. show us what you got. So
Yeah, on each
you
of
might
our
stick.
trips, we've always had a few first timers, and they've always really exceeded our expectations. They
Wow.
really had a good time. They were very committed, very focused, and very productive, and so we're very open to that. We would like to continue with that.
And
Great.
does a woman on these expeditions put a little monkey wrench in the situation? Like, because it's on my bucket list, and I'm sure there's other YLs. And I know you guys get to go to the bathroom wherever, and you're changing everywhere in front of each other. And so putting a woman in there really does change the whole dynamic,
Yeah, I think it depends too on where you're going. If you're on a ship like the Braveheart, there's
A little rough.
there's no privacy. If we go to Islamic nations like Iran or, Eritrea or Iraq, there's complications there. I mean, the couple would have to be married and have to prove it, type of thing.
Well, I know, like Palmyra's a good one. They all had their own individual cabins. They flew in.
Yeah.
That's the kind of, I guess we could.
That
do.
was really kind of a resort. I mean,
Yeah,
like it.
but they couldn't put up good antennas. That's the only bad thing for the birds.
Yeah.
Well, anybody else? All
no,
right.
thank you for being here, Paul.
Thanks,
We
Paul.
appreciate
Yeah,
it.
we are going to have you on again, I swear, and we're going to talk about your expeditions because
Great.
that
Thank
seems
you
to be a
for
hot
having me.
spot in the chat and
We
with
know,
us.
yeah, indeed.
Definitely.
Okay.
Thank you again, and good luck with that Dream Rig essay contest. And all you guys out there who know a kid in the hobby, just getting their ticket or anything, send them to that Facebook page.
Right.
Intrepid DX group.
Yep. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Paul. Good stuff.
Keep your competitive contesting edge with Icom. Icom's high-powered base stations cut through pileups, letting you work the bands and record those contacts. Contest from the comfort of your home or remotely with the RSBA One app. Heard it, worked it, logged it. The IC7300 is a high-performance, innovative HF transceiver with a compact design that will far exceed your expectations. This innovative HF transceiver digitizes RF before various receiver stages, reducing inherent noise in different IF stages. The IC7300 changed the way entry-level HF is designed. RF direct sampling, 15 discrete bandpass filters, large 4.3-inch color touchscreen, real-time spectrum scope, and SD memory card slot. The real HF fun starts here. Create your own band opening with the IC9700. This transceiver brings direct sampling to the UHF-VHF weak signal world. This all-mode transceiver is loaded with innovative features that are sure to keep you busy. Faster processors, higher input gain, higher display resolution, and a cleaner signal. 4.3-inch color touchscreen TFT LCD, real-time high-speed spectrum scope, and waterfall display. Smooth satellite operation with 99 satellite channels, dual watch operation, and full duplex operation in satellite mode. Icom's IC7610 is the SDR every ham wants. This high-performance SDR can pick out faint signals in the presence of stronger adjacent signals. The Icom 7610 is a direct sampling, software-defined radio that has changed the world's definition of an SDR transceiver. RF direct sampling system, 110 RMDR, independent dual receiver, dual digicell. Icom's IC7851 gives you a new window into the RF world and is HF excellence unparalleled. With faster processors, higher input gain, higher display resolution, and a cleaner signal, it's truly the pinnacle of HF perfection. Dual receivers, digital IF filters, memory keyer, digital voice recorder, high-resolution spectrum waterfall display, enhanced PC connectivity, and SD memory card slot. Learn more about all these great Icom radios at icomamerica.com/amateur.
And again, a big thank you to Icom for sponsoring Ham Nation here on the Ham Radio Crash Course. Every month, Icom gives away a radio, and this month it is the ID 5100, their larger mobile radio. So make sure you click on that little Enter Now button. The link is in the description for Icom America. That enters you into the swag pack giveaway. Every time we do an episode of Ham Nation, they pick 3 winners. Those winners go onto the list to get into the monthly drawing for that end of the month radio. So make sure you enter now. But for this episode, we have 3 winners for the swag pack: Donald B, KQ4CBM, Daniel Z, KR0KDE, and Kenneth R, KD9VLZ. So thanks again to Icom. We really do appreciate it. I have one more announcement to go along with that as well, since it's just going to be a month of giveaways. I am doing my own giveaway. It's going to be the November Antenna Fest giveaway. I'm giving away a series of K6 ARK NFED antenna kits, some coffee and ham radio antenna kits. A grand prize is going to be the Chameleon Lefts antenna, the Chameleon F-loop antenna, and we got a Buddy Stick Pro to also give away. So I'll have a live stream at the end of the month. We're going to give all that away. Of course, these are going to go to individual people. It's not, everybody that's going to win is going to get an antenna at least. So that's what we're aiming to do. The link is in the description for that. That's a Google form. It's a bit different because I do need your email and your address so that I can send you the info there. So lots of giveaways between Icom and Ham Radio Crash Course. We got you covered in November. So appreciate you guys watching. It's a little bit of a thank you back to everybody for taking the time to watch us all, and just to appreciate those thumbs up for everybody in the chat. If you're watching right now, we'd appreciate it. All right, we're going to Gordo. Gordo's got some friends with him today that I'm really excited to see. So take it away, Gordo.
All right. Well, thanks so much. Wow. Chameleon and Buddy Poles, those are great antennas. Well, let's take a listen and a look at a DXpedition, not overseas, but just up the block. And tonight we have Chip, K7JA, Janet, KL7MF, Chip and Janet. Every Halloween invite hams over to take a look. Chip, let's take a look.
Hey, Gordo, and good evening to everybody. Chip and Janet here, and we're awfully pleased to be on Ham Nation. It's been a while since we've been QRV here, and glad to see everybody's smiling face, and really enjoyed Paul's presentation there, where Janet and I have done some things, and we'll talk about that as we get into the second part of our little gig here. But without further ado, so we can keep the evening moving here, with Josh, with your permission, I'm going to try the share screen thing. We'll make this happen.
Absolutely.
Okay, start sharing. And do you have me okay?
We've got you.
Got it.
All right. Well, here's Halloween DXpedition at our location. And that's our modest little tower. We're in Garden Grove, California, and we are on a 60 by 100 foot lot. But we do have this tower that has one spatial word associated with it: grandfather.
I was just going to ask you that.
We built the tower in 1981 after the building permit was signed off, and so it's been up ever since. And 60 by 100 lot, you're somewhat limited, but gosh, I've got DXCC on 6 meters. I won the ARRL sweepstakes low power 1 year from here, so it's it's got some possibilities. And like it says, most of the year the tower is just a tower, but when we get into the Halloween season, all of a sudden the guy wires take on a spatial task here. And I've sometimes thought about doing Philly strand for the top guys to reduce interaction on lower beams, but that would remove an insulator that I use to hold the rope that I throw over the guy to support the ghoul in the sky. And it's intimidating enough during the day, but at night it really is a favorite of the kids in the neighborhood. And I don't know how well you can see it, but the elements are pointing right in the direction of the ghouls. So
right.
We got perfect alignment on all the elements of a haunted Halloween. Now we do a modest little display every year. This is a many-year tradition here in Garden Grove, and this year we did the whole thing. We had you've got the ghoul there in the background on the tower. The left side of the picture is the pumpkin patch. and the right side of the picture is the witch's haunt. And we were kind of popular, as you can imagine. You're always welcome to come in and see things at our Halloween QTH, but especially because we had a tea party this year in our dining room. We had 2 tables set with 4 sets of kind of skeleton-esque attendees. And for some reason, anybody that did come to visit was a little afraid to try to get a cookie off of the center of the table there, because these young ladies were very protective of the Tim Tams and the Oreo cookies that were on the table. Of course, it's not just restricted to the living room. The ham shack is also decked out to some degree with an assortment of creepy creatures. It does, however, put a bit of a crimp on my operating at that time of year, because I have to confess, I'm just a little bit afraid to stick my fingers too close to the guards there on the radios. And we had to turn away some guests that wanted to stay this year because our guest bedroom was turned into a bridal suite. And we didn't really think that these folks here would be very amenable to having any extra visitors come into our house. So we didn't have any Halloween sleepovers this year. But part of the fun of the actual Halloween evening is having all the trick-or-treaters. We had 190 trick-or-treaters come by this year. And the most fun actually was seeing the parents. The parents were gobsmacked, taking pictures like crazy and playing with the animatronics. The entire front row of things here in the Halloween spread is animatronic. And so you make a noise or bonk it and they will start moving on you. And so it gets real scary. But this is to bring this part of it to a conclusion, this is just something else you can do with your tower and make it a little more neighborhood friendly in case you have anybody complaining about TVI or something like that, which is kind of a moot point anymore, but they complain about the visuals of the tower. You just tell them, well, do you really want your little 9-year-old girls to be disappointed when they don't have their ghoul in the sky next year? So this is a very strategic thing on our part. Our kitty cat, of course, loves this time of year. And when the ghoul comes down, we give her an extra week or so with the ghoul in the living room so she can curl up in its lap. MC, our kitty, loves Halloween and loves all the creepy crawlies that come out of the sky. Well, what's next after we get done doing Halloween, of course, is Thanksgiving on the beach, which we will be the first to confess. I think Janet would agree. It's only in California. We've been very lucky with the weather. On Thanksgiving Day, of course, everybody is at home with Aunt Ethel and having their turkey in the home. And so the beach is quite deserted, which is a fine thing. If you're going to put up an antenna, we don't have a lot of looky-loos necessarily giving us advice on how to put the thing up. And this is a bit of a training thing as well. This is a little 10-meter Yagi that I have designed and built up. And we raise it on stackable military masts that you see at the ham fests. And this is the kind of thing, going back to what Paul was saying, you're building a skill set. If you want to do a de-expedition to get yourself some credentials, build up a little portable 10-meter beam of some kind, and then go to some island for the 10-meter contest. You could go someplace in Micronesia, like Janet and I did one year, had a little 3-element beam, and by gosh, we won the contest for the continent. And we were pretty happy about that. And, you can do something like that. A 10-meter beam is small, and you can, put it up and have a nice weekend from Pohnpei or Truk or Guam or someplace like that. And you'll have a little line on your de-expedition resume. Getting airtime is always precious there, and Uncle Gordo always holds court on 10 meters. And you notice he's in short sleeves, which is typical for Gordo, but we've been so fortunate through the years. Typical weather for us has been between 75 and 80 degrees with light to moderate winds, and we've never been rained out. And I can assure you we've never been snowed out either on Thanksgiving on the beach. We have a pretty nice setup. This is one of our smaller ones. Sometimes we've had 2 or 3 easy ups along with all the goodies. The little wagon there helps us schlep things from the car over the sand, which is not an easy task. And so we just keep on the air and setting up until it's turkey time. We do a deep fryer on the sand, which is obviously a very safe place to do a deep fried turkey. And so we've done this through the years, and it's always worked out very well, and we don't worry about burning down the house. We were such a novelty. One year, the Los Angeles Times reporter did a story, and we ended up on the front page of the LA Times, chronicling not only our turkey exploits, but our ham radio operations, and it was a great time. But sorry about that, folks. When it's time for turkey, we go QRT, and it is a hard knockdown. Sometimes, if we can stay awake with the tryptophan effect in there, we will be on after the turkey. But turkey takes precedence once it's time to eat, and as you can imagine, we'll have to beg off on heavy de-expeditioning after that. This year, our operation plan, presuming the weather to be holding as it has, is we'll be on the air about 1900 UTC, which is 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 11 a.m. Pacific Time. We generally will start out on 28.410 on upper sideband, and then we'll hop over to CW 28.025 and make some noise there, going back and forth between the modes, but primarily we'll be on upper sideband. I've been checking the last several days, and all during this operation time, 1800, 1900, all the way till almost to sundown, we've had very loud signals from the United States, Midwest, East Coast. During the sweepstakes contest this past weekend, we had a lot of propagation throughout the country. So we have a high confidence level that we'll be able to work you around the country on 10 meters after having quite a few years of being on 15 and 20 because 10-meter propagation was so poor. But the sunspots are back, and so 10 meters, here we come. And so, well, okay, after Halloween, we do Thanksgiving. What's next after Thanksgiving? Well, oh, yeah, Christmas is coming. And yes, our tower is a beacon. It's sort of a lighthouse for the neighborhood. Everybody navigates by going to our house and then making a left turn or making a right turn. So this is, once again, good neighbor relations by lighting up your tower. So get out those LED lights and put them up on your tower and bring the holiday spirit throughout your neighborhood. And all of a sudden, your ham radio tower is going to be really cool to all your neighbors. See you on 10, 7388 from Gordo, Suze, Janet, and Chip, and we hope to work you from the beach on Thanksgiving Day. K7JA, KL7MF, did-it-a-dow-da-dow.
Oh, that was great, Chip. Well, thanks so much. And I thought we would back up a couple of things that Chip had designed and does so well. So if we could, we will show that in 2 weeks. And let me just check with Josh and Amanda. Are we good for 2 weeks from tonight, Turkey Eve?
I think so.
I don't have a problem with it. Yeah, no, I don't travel or anything for Thanksgiving. So, Don, you in?
I believe so.
All right.
All right.
Good enough
well,
to
then,
put a show together.
Okay. Then in 2 weeks, we will have the additional short shots from Gordo to show you how we actually put up the antennas, how Chip has constructed them. And again, start getting ready on 10 meters because that's a band open for novice and technician class operators, as well as general, advanced, and extra, and all the others. So join us on 10 in about 2 weeks and a day from today. So let's go back to Amanda and see if you have either any questions or we'll see everybody in 2 weeks.
I have comments. First comment, 10's been already open. It was great during the CQ WWSSB contest for sure. I mean, I filled in so many blank holes for my DX countries on 10 barefoot because our amp no longer wants to tune up on 10 meters. So we did all barefoot.
Wow.
And the next thing was that this was more related to Josh, but because you brought up Christmas, Chip, a lot of people are saying, can you tune up on a Christmas lights wire? Josh evidently knows about this.
Yeah, I'll mention it really quick. Two things to mention, actually. This will be my 5th year in a row where I build some kind of Christmas light contraption on my roof as an antenna and really just put as much power as I can through it until I start blowing bulbs up. I've gotten DX contacts with it. Last year I made a 40-meter phased array, a vertical phased array.
Really?
And I actually light it all up. Now, of course, the tuning of that is very difficult because every one of those bulbs is an inductor, of course. But we have a lot of fun blowing bulbs up, and I've done DX with it. I can easily hit the East Coast on FT8 with 100 watts of power going through Christmas lights, and they do light up. They fully light up. You can go look at my videos. I've been doing it for 4 years straight. We're gonna do it again this year, but it's getting tough because I don't know how to outdo myself anymore.
So are these LEDs or incandescent?
Cannot use LEDs. I use generally the small incandescents because I view it as it would be almost sacrilegious to blow up the big old school bulbs. If you get your hands on those, I wouldn't blow those up. I use the tiny little twinkle lights, the standard incandescents.
I was almost going to drop something. I was going to say, everyone with your old Christmas lights, send them to Josh.
I don't think I could do that. To go back to Thanksgiving, I took my kids out to the Thanksgiving turkey fry and ham radio last year with my kids. And it was awesome. I got a message from Joe. He said, "Don't forget to mention that that Joe worked the beach, and he was hearing us 20 over S9, and I was literally running out of I parked the car, and I had Gordo running over the beach. Quick, we got Joe on 20, and I'd run it across the sand like Baywatch to try and get to a radio to make a contact. It's a lot of fun. It's a great tradition you guys have. I absolutely love it.
I have to say, the notion of seeing you on Baywatch is something I want to unsee.
The radio guy.
You cannot poke out your mind's eye.
The cops guy.
Nope.
He's like, I've got him on the phone. One other thing, Miss Janet, this is for you. Thank you so much for being here tonight. And I don't know if everyone is aware of Janet. Janet, how many years did you put in with HRO before you were just retired?
Oh, well, 38 years with HRO.
Wow.
Altogether. So.
All right. Well, thank you for all of your hard work at HRO. I'm sure you made a lot of happy customers there while you were there. And also congratulations on your retirement.
Thank you very much. And yes, in fact, a lot of them are still texting me.
Janet, what's the status of my order?
Or advice. Which coax do I want again? Which connectors do I need for this? You're the gal to go to. You know everything. So.
No, she just says, ask Chip. He still works there.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. That's right. I have to say, it's hard. I used to just be able to see Janet whenever I wanted to. I just would go down to Anaheim and talk to Janet. Now, this is the first time I've seen you in a couple of months now, so it's great to see you again. I'm happy to see you, Janet. And Chip, of course, but you're still easy to find. I can find you, Chip.
And Chip. I love how that was said. And don't forget, Chip is infamous for his appearance on the Jay Leno show. That's all I'm going to say. Just Google K7JA on Jay Leno show. You'll find out everything you need to know. All I know is CW rocks and is faster than texting.
Yes.
That's right. And if I may for just a second, speaking of CW, everybody lift a glass to our third mom, Ellen White, W1YL.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Magnificent CW operator who left us at the tender age of 95, having been QRV on 40 CW every morning up until the last couple of weeks.
Wow.
And she was a real gem. And so if you want to be a CW operator, try to grow up and be like Ellen White, W1YL.
Absolutely.
And she was a pioneer for women in amateur radio.
Indeed.
Absolute
Very much
pioneer.
so.
Yep.
So thank you, Ellen, for everything, and rest in peace. Thank you so much, Chip and Janet, for being here tonight.
Our pleasure. Yep.
All right, let's go to Don.
Yeah, and speaking of Chip, and let's see, what else? Amateur Radio Newsline. That's how I met Chip through. And again, I guess that it's almost a theme tonight. Absent Friends, Bill Pasternak, WA6ITF, of course, brought all that together with Young Ham of the Year, and that's how I met Chip. And it's a great friendship that will continue for the rest of our lives, my friend. And I certainly appreciate you and our friendship and all that Bill Pasternak brought together.
I appreciate that too, and let's just try not to make that silent key roll call anytime soon.
Exactly. Yeah, that's I've got a lot of stuff to do between now and then. And speaking of Amateur Radio Newsline, let's go ahead and get the news of the week from the gang. From Amateur Radio Newsline report number 2349, this is Ham Nation headlines for Wednesday, November 9th, 2022. Our top story takes us to the Philippines, where a radio group called Ham Radio Emergency Operations was preparing for the region's latest cyclone.
A tropical cyclone delivered deadly flooding and landslides in the Philippines in late October as dozens died and thousands of others sought shelter. Romy Isidro, DU1SMQ, chairman of the National Traffic System in the Philippines, said that Ham Radio Emergency Operations, or HERO, began monitoring emergency frequencies and awaiting further instructions. Reports from cities and provinces indicated that much of the traffic over emergency frequencies were from the various localities for flooding, commercial electricity, impassable roads, destroyed bridges, and requests for ambulance aid. When a wall collapsed, an amateur radio operator in central Luzon in Region 3 volunteered to relay word of that to the nearest disaster risk reduction office. Romy said, however, that most of the casualties and fatalities were reported in very poor regions of the Philippines, where the lack of HF radios can complicate emergency communication. This is John Williams, VK4JJW.
As the time draws closer for the Bouvet Island activation, new members of the team are being put into place as pilots.
In preparation for the 3Y0JD expedition to Bouvet Island in early 2023, the team has announced the addition of pilots. These hams provide a critical role as intermediaries between the DXpedition team and the DX chasers. They will be keeping an eye on propagation in their designated parts of the world to help facilitate contacts. The chief pilot and pilot for Europe is Morton LA3 MHA. North America's East Coast will be covered by Steve N2AJ. The West Coast of North America will have Rich KE1B as pilot. South America's pilot will be CISO HK3W. Hams in VK ZL OC will have Lee VK3GK as pilot, and in Asia and Japan, hams will rely on Champ E21 EIC. The team expects to activate from the subantarctic island between January 13th and February 28th. This is Jim Meechan, ZL2BHF.
DXers and others interested in chasing special call signs have learned that an important resource for more than 3 decades is ceasing publication.
After 31 years of publishing the free Ohio Pen DX Bulletin, Ted Mergelota, KB8NW, is calling it quits. Ted, the president of the Northern Ohio DX Association, has made this free resource available on the internet and packet clusters around the world. He announced that the edition of October 31st, 2022 was to be the final bulletin. The bulletin's webmaster, John Pape, K8YSE, said on the website that the archived issues of the bulletin will continue to be available on the EIDX network, papes.com. John said that readers enjoyed it as an email or on their list servers. He said that thousands of readers saw it on the website as well. He wrote, quote, "What I found surprising is that people will not only read the current OPDX, but they will read back issues by the hundreds as well. What a great resource it has become and will still be," end quote. This is Jack Parker, W8ISH.
And that's all from the Amateur Radio Newsline, your independent source for amateur radio news for 4 decades and counting at arnewsline.org. With John Williams, VK4JJW, Jim Meechan, ZL2BHF, Jack Parker, W8ISH, Karen Eve Murray, KD2GUT at the news desk in New York, and our news team across the globe. I'm Don Wellbanks, AE5DW. 7-3. We'll see you next time here on Ham Nation. And And a big thank you to the Newsline group for helping us put that together. And gosh, Newsline's been going for over 4 decades now. And again, Bill Pasternak, WA6ITF, started that whole thing off, and we are continuing on in his footsteps. Dr. T not with us tonight. She's had quite a busy week. She did some traveling, did some presenting and things like that. So be sure to go and check her out at spaceweatherwoman.com. Also check her out on Twitter at Tamitha Skov and her YouTube channel, Tamitha Skov, to find out all of what's going on with the sun. I can give you my own solar report. I saw it today. It was up there. So hopefully it'll be up there again tomorrow. Let's see what's happening with another ray of sunshine. And that, of course, is our good friend Randy and what's going on with, you've got some digital stuff going on, huh?
Yeah, I've been playing around with that again.
Good.
So, haven't been doing a lot of ham stuff in the last couple of months, a lot of outdoor things, but I kind of started playing around with Packet, and it's led into several different vectors over the last week or so. So I have a bunch of slides. So Josh, can you bring that up? So what has Randy been doing? Next. So I've been playing around with a whole bunch of digital modes here, which means you spend a lot of time in these various configuration windows. So
yeah.
And Josh has lots of videos about doing this stuff. So I started off with Packet. That's a 40-year-old digital mode. It's been around a long time. Then played around with WinLink, and then using the Packet with WinLink, and then thought it's about time to get away from the hardware TNC. So Sound Modem gives you a software TNC to use with things. And then with WinLink, you can use Vara, which is a modem. And then there's a new chat program out called Vara AC, which uses the Vara modem. It gets really, really confusing here. And then I also found the fellow who is a developer for Sound Modem also has a little program called Easy Term. So it gives you a terminal to get into your packets. So yeah, a lot of time checking boxes, putting in things, wondering why it doesn't work, going off to YouTube, finding experts to watch, read the manuals online and all that type of stuff. Next, please. So I've had this FT1500. This is an old 2-meter Yaesu radio, and I've got a KPC3 Plus. These were real popular. These things when they came out, they were like $99. Now they're like, what, I don't know, how much, Janet, 250 or something? They're really expensive, yeah. So I have that, cabled into the radio. This radio does not have the little 6-pin mini DIN on the back, so I go into the microphone and plug into the speaker. And I use PuTTY, which is just a simple little terminal emulation program. And I was able to connect to the local packet node, which not much going on there. And then about 50 miles up the coast from me, up in Bandon, Tom, I forget his call off the top of my head, but he has a WinLink node set up. So then I was able to use the packet TNC with WinLink to get in to do email. So next. So this is where WinLink can get kind of complex because there's all these various plugins and stuff. But start off, WinLink is email over radio. It's basically, that's what the WinLink program does. How it goes over the radio, you have a lot of choices. So these are the various modems. There's a drop-down list of all sorts of stuff here. And to start off with, if you don't have any radio interface, you can use a telnet connection. So it just goes off to the internet and you connect to a station and you can pull off your email and see what's going on. You can use a packet, a TNC, the old hardware, or you can use software with a soft modem. It supports Pactor, and a lot of the emergency people use that, but it's about a $1,000 modem hardware box to do Pactor. So then Vara came along, and this is a high-speed modem. It approaches the Pactor speeds, and then there's a derivative of that to support going out on the FM bands or modulation instead of going out through a sideband transceiver. Next. So here's what WinLink looks like. That's the big window in the background, and you open up a session, and then you tell it to start, and it will go off to the station that you selected using the modem that you selected, and it goes through a bunch of handshaking, and many times there's no mail waiting for you, so you get on and off pretty quick. So there it is, running with a good old 40-year-old TNC. Next. So sound modem, time to try a software TNC. So UZ7HO is a developer of this, and no hardware is required. Well, it depends how you're going to interface to your radio. Most modern radios now have a USB connection. Yeah, this gets confusing with this digital stuff. USB can be upper sideband, or it can be a cable. So especially in the Icom stuff, you go in to set something and it says USB, and you're wondering if it's a cable or a mode or whatever. So if you have a modern radio, it'll support a USB cable connection from the computer to the radio to do both control as well as audio. So if you don't have more of a modern radio, then you'd have to use some type of sound card interface box, like a Signal Link or make your own from. These were real popular back in the original PSK 31 days. So downloaded this. This is free software. Next. And it has a window that shows you what's going on, and you get a waterfall at the bottom, so you can kind of get an idea of what's happening in the passband. Next. So here in WinLink, we're going to select a packet for the modem type, but then you can go into it further and select what type of mode or hardware or software you're going to use to support packets. So the window on the left, I don't know if you can really see it, but I'm basically selecting a packet TNC, and it's a KPC3, and you set the serial port and the baud rate, and then it will use that connection. If instead of selecting on the KPC, if you select KISS, that now is going to use the sound modem software. It'd be nice if it said sound modem. And then it makes an IP connection. So the WinLink application talks to the sound modem application by using an internal IP connection using the 127.0.0.1 loopback connection. So that's how those two talk internally. Next. So here is now WinLink 2-meter FM packet session using sound modem. So we have the big WinLink window on the left, the session WinLink window on the top, and then the sound modem window is on the bottom. So you can see all the raw data going by there in the sound modem window. Next. So sound modem interface, the IC9700. Again, the single USB cable supports the audio and also the control. And all the Icom radios basically work the same way. I have a 7100, 705, 7610, 9700. I don't have a 7300, but they all work the same way. So so now that I have this working, I can hopefully quickly get it running on a laptop for my 705 or my IC 7100 when I'm operating out of the camp trailer, Quartz Fest time. Next. Okay, so EasyTerm is a terminal emulator program that's basically optimized for packet, and it's working with sound modem. So now you can go on and make a packet connection to another packet station or a packet network, not necessarily Winlink at this point. And this is kind of a neat program because he has different packet channels. So you can have a conversation going on in channel 1, click the channel 2 button, and then the screens will change to show you the text that was relevant for that channel, so you can switch back and forth. So that's kind of neat. Next. Okay, the Vara modem. This is written by EA5HVK, and there's two versions. There's a basic version that's free, and that'll work fine. If you want to get into the higher speed stuff, then you pay the $69 for the license for that. So for starting off, the free will work, and you'll be able to figure out if that's what you want to deal with. So Vara modem is for HF, and was primarily, I believe, developed for Winlink. Then there's, like I mentioned before, a variation of that called Vara FM, which is optimized for a FM radio, like a 2-meter radio. But there's other applications now which are also able to use the Vara modems. So one is called, that's why it gets confusing, VAR AC, which is a chat application, and also Easy Term, which is the simple terminal program. Next. So now I'm using Winlink with the Vara FM modem, and now it runs much faster than Packet. And it's kind of neat because in the Vara window in the bottom right there, it shows different constellations of a quadrature amplitude modulation that it goes and that it uses. So there it's showing the 4 states of data, and has a fairly nice tight pattern there. So a lot faster than Packet. If you run the Vara FM wide, then you need a radio that can be used for 9600 baud packet. And typically you would go into the 6-pin mini DIN connector on the back from a signal link or some other type of sound interface. So it's a little bit of a step backwards, but you gain a lot in speed. Although one of the videos I watched about this, the upper end of the free version is kind of the mid-range of the high-speed version. So you can play with the free and decide if it's fast enough for you. Next. On the QuartzFest Facebook page, Carter posted this here a couple days ago that he will be hosting a Winlink node at QuartzFest connected to the internet. So people at QuartzFest using Vara on 2-meter FM will be able to send radio email from QuartzFest. And it's just not between Winlink users. You can email anybody in the world. So it goes out through the, whatever. So 145.03, and I'll be set up to play with this out at QuartzFest. Next. There's a couple neat things in the Vara FM to help you get your link established. They have a ping function, which your radio transmits out data. The station at the other end knows how to deal with the ping data, and it answers you back, and it shows you what your signal levels are and your volume levels. And if it's green, you're good to go. If they show up red, you have to make adjustments. The window on the right is auto-tune, and this, I believe what it does, it sends out maybe 10 different test sessions of data, and the other end analyzes it, and then it sends it back to you. And here it's all green. One of the videos I saw, a guy was using a signal link interface, and it came back and told you which knob to turn to take and correct for that. So that was kind of neat. So these are kind of handy things when you're starting up. Is the other guy receiving me, and how well? So the ping works neat for that. Next. Okay, if you're tired of FT8 and you want to have a QSO, a new program, well, I don't know, maybe it's a year old now, but it seems to be getting very popular, VAR AC. This is written by 4Z1AC. Now, this is a chat program using the Vara modems, either on HF or on FM. So with this mode, you connect to a station. It's kind of like a packet connections. So you connect to a station, and then you handshake back and forth. So if there's a little bit of noise on the path and it gets an error, it'll retry again. So what you see on the screen is always perfect. It's kind of an interesting thing that they've done here. They've set up a calling frequency on each band, and then they have what they call slots: 750 hertz up, 1500 hertz up. There's multiples of 750 hertz up and down from there. So you can establish a connection on the calling frequency. Then you can push a button on the screen to say, I want to move up 2 slots. Now the software will negotiate that and with the other station, and next thing you know, boom, you've moved off the calling frequency. So this is kind of like an automatic version of, calling CQ on 5.2 and then moving to 5.5 or something. So that's kind of neat. You really want to have this controlling the radio because it's going to turn the knob in order to do this. Next. So this is what the VAR AC looks like, and there's the big chat window on the left, and here I am with a QSO. There's 2 boxes of green up in the top, so the one on the left there is station sending out beacons, and the one over on the right is station sending out CQ. And you want to talk to one of those, you just double click on it, and off you go. You can open up 2 of the Vara modem windows, so that the top one will show your data rate that's happening, and the bottom one you can have it being in the monitor mode, so you can see the text going on here. Now this is a 1-to-1. You can't read the mail. If you sit on the frequency, you'll see nothing going on until somebody sends a CQ or whatever. If somebody connects to you, you'll see the connection status in the large window. Next. But he hinted on the Facebook page the other day at having a broadcast mode. So this looks like it's a one-to-many, probably a non-error correction. We don't know yet. He posted this little screenshot saying this is the first broadcast message, and such that nobody can take and read it yet. So he updates the software about once a month. So you can get on, and it's kind of like the old PSK 31 days. You can actually chat back and forth, ask questions. There's macros and do all that, but it's perfect copy. And as the band conditions improve, the modem, the Vara modem, will change speeds. If the band gets kind of crappy, it'll slow down and such. So it's kind of neat. Next. My brain's tired. This was kind of a lot to get going in a few days, but it was fun, and you learn a lot when you start playing around with this stuff. You may get really frustrated too. Things don't want to transmit or whatever, and you go through a Windows update, and next thing you know, your audio devices have all changed again. So, Amanda, any questions?
Oh yeah, so we have to go to Chip first. Chip is showing his LA Times. Nice.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
I cannot believe ham radio operators made the front page of the LA Times and it wasn't even about saving lives. So you guys are just having fun and doing some oddball. That's completely awesome. All right.
I think you're muted. Not you, Amanda. Chip. Oh. You're good. Sorry.
Randy, that was great. Thank you very much. I had questions about Vara. Now I know.
Oh, now you get to play.
Yeah, now you get to go figure it out.
I did have some more questions about Vara, but you answered most of them, Randy, as you continued on. So you basically described what VAR chat does, the cost the cost I think is more significant. You mentioned that you get a better speed, but I would also like to mention that you get longer connection times to some of those other stations out there. So you don't have the 5-minute limits, or it's going to cut you off and disconnect, right, Randy?
Never run the free version, so I don't know what happens. I know.
Oh, yes, that's what happens.
I see people complaining about the the advertising, or the screen keeps popping up to pay, and
that doesn't really bug me. And you know what? Here's my problem with paying. Jeff and I both use WinLink for Aries and other activities. Me being a section manager, I'm receiving messages all the time via WinLink, and I don't see it fit to be fair to charge us each $70 when we're in the same household using the same radio to send and receive the same messages. So that's my opinion. Everybody, it's not probably a popular opinion, but it's hard for us to justify $140 a year for this. So we use the free version and we suffer through it, and we find the best. Go ahead, Randy.
I think you could share it.
Can you share it? Okay.
It's one time. It's not a per year.
It's not a per year.
No.
Okay.
It's one time, and I don't. It's for the computer you're on, is my understanding. You just would use that computer, that call sign, to activate it.
All right, so let's go to this.
Okay.
Being part of Aries, we're going to go to a different computer and send WinLink messages from, maybe a Red Cross shelter or something. So how's that work? Those would be my questions that I would probably need to contact a Vara representative for to see, can you make me a deal?
Well, you're still gonna have to have your WinLink set up with your call sign and your personal info, and that's what's going to go in the WinLink. The Vara call sign is mainly for authenticating the license. But there are people in the chat saying you can email and request a second call sign, and I'm assuming that's just I don't even think there's a fee associated to that. I think that's merely just say you and your husband, and that's it. That's probably good enough. Or MCOM.
Yeah, I mean, that was my biggest deal. Was I was thinking MCOM, like, didn't know how would we have to have one certain call sign that we're using, or can anyone log on and send from that Red Cross shelter or whatever else? So maybe an EOC or something, because we can't all afford to have like numerous accounts like that. So that's what I was thinking about. But you know what? Free actually works pretty well as long as you find the right connections.
So many different digital modes. If you use WinLink, it's like calling somebody on a cell phone. It's a one-to-one connection. Nobody else can hear what's going on. A lot of times what's nice about a radio is that everybody on the frequency hears what's going on and with this situation. Now, if you go to the FL Digi modes, everybody on the frequency can see the traffic going back and forth. So there's no one perfect system, I don't believe. You probably need all of them on your computer.
Right. And that's the other thing. So, Randy, I was going to get to that question kind of when you started mentioning Packet and things like that. We all have downloaded that, and we still use if you have the oldest computer in the world, you're still using your DOS-based Packet setup and sending messages just for fun. And thank you for everybody that sets up those BBQs and has them ready for us to keep this in practice, because it's still important. But how many different applications do we need now on our computers to try all of these digital modes?
Only the good ones. But you got to try them all before you figure that out.
Absolutely correct.
I did get a super chat today, and it's not really on this topic, so we feel free to swing things back. But I did want to kind of get to it quickly, and it's kind of a complex question, and I asked clarifying questions in chat. Scott Champion asks, "What can a newbie do as far as an antenna? I can hear folks in Wyoming to North Carolina and can't transmit on my SUV. Looking for the best antenna. Thanks." Now, I asked clarifying questions in the chat. It turns out Scott's a CB user. He's talking about his CB radio. And I think there needs to be a clarification point that if you're hearing really far off stations on CB in your mobile installation, they're probably running a lot of power.
Maybe.
Probably not necessarily from really far away. Sure, we're getting into prime skip territory for 11 meters, but we're not there quite yet. And so while, yeah, you're going to hear some folks far off, they're probably running a decent home setup with a antenna at home and some power. Does anybody have a good recommendation for a CB antenna? Gordo, maybe?
For home, a lot of folks use the Antron 99 if you can find them used. It's nothing more than a monopole with a slight matching network to make it back to 50 ohms.
What about for mobile?
For mobile, most folks use a 27 megahertz CB antenna and cut off about 3 inches on the top, and then it'll pop in at about 28.3 to 28.5.
Sure. Okay. Well, Scott, I hope that helps. Unfortunately, we're mainly amateur radio operators, so we don't get a whole lot of CB activity from time to time. But I hope that helps you out. Sorry if we didn't have more info. So, all right. And Amanda, was there any other comments?
Yeah, a couple of things. And thanks everyone for being civilized about Scott asking that question.
Oh,
We
yeah.
help everybody here.
I love all the radio. I just I can't do all of it. There's too much radio for any one person to do all of it, right?
Yeah, exactly right. Randy, a couple more things. And you had mentioned something, and I'm sorry, I didn't write which mode it was in, but are all of these loggable contacts, or is this just all messaging?
With the VAR AC, since you're in a QSO with somebody, there's a log there, and it also ties into my AC log program, so it automatically logs into my main station logger, and I think he supports most of the popular logging programs. Winlink doesn't necessarily do a contact type of log. So.
And I don't think that's the purpose of it. Is that correct, Randy? It's not like you're trying to make some kind of logging for this, but I was just double checking if there's any reason to keep logs on this.
For what now?
For making these chatting and making these contact to contacts. Would you want to keep logs on this?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
There's actually a feature built into it to log if you want to.
Awesome. Okay.
It's like PSK31 basically, right?
Okay.
You
or
would
FCA.
log Yeah, you would log either one of those. Well, PSK31 is more of the keyboard to keyboard because that's literally what you're doing, right?
I haven't made a PSK contact since like 2012.
No, I'm using it as an example of you probably log that contact. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's kind of what I meant.
We did it through HRD, so it just did it.
Right.
Right. Let's see. Okay, one more question. I think someone had kind of mentioned this, like Pactor uses. Do you actually actively use Pactor as well? Pactor, sorry, Randy.
No, I don't have one of those $1,000 modem.
I'm pretty sure. I thought it was always just for Mars. I don't.
There are people who use Pactor in amateur, but they're. I guess at the end of the day, if the node you're connecting to, if the gateway for doing email is Pactor, you can use a Pactor modem. There's nothing against that, assuming it's at the right baud rate.
That's it.
Yeah, the baud rate is the issue. But they're so expensive.
They are really expensive, and then there's like 3 different levels that are on Pactor.
Just use Vara.
3
Trust me.
Okay.
Just use Vara. It's super fast.
Most of the
sounds good to me.
Gateway stations that you connect to support multiple different modems. So you just use the one you have, and it tries a bunch of time, and it has to try one, and it tries a different one. From his end, it kind of scans through until it sees that somebody's wanting to make a connection, and then bingo, you're going.
All right. Well, I have one more comment, and this has to do with ARRL, and they're coming out with NTS 2.0. I don't know if everyone's heard about that. They're just now kind of introducing all of the section traffic managers to this. So they've been sending out a wide range of messages recently via Winlink, and if anyone has intercepted anything or seen a lot of traffic on their whatever your nodes and things hosting, that's why. So they're sending them to all of the section managers and also the STMs. So if you've seen a lot of traffic, that is exactly it. And now we have to receive them and send them back. But I've been lazy kind of right now, and I've just been using Telnet to download them. So I'm sorry. I'll do RF next time. What was that, Randy?
I want to try an experiment here. See if we can blow up the system a little bit.
Let's do it.
Send me a Winlink email, K7AGE at
There you go.
at winlink.org. So K7AGE at winlink.org. So the next time I log in, the server or the node should go crazy sending a bunch of stuff down. And you can do that, from your phone.
Yeah.
K7AGE at winlink.org.
I'm going to do it RF just to be unique.
Yeah. I think we're all on WinLink. KI6NAZ. Yeah. So I get probably 5 every couple of days. I get in there and check it out. And I use both packet and HF for it.
Yeah.
I'm set up both ways, which I think is important to be able to do that. So yeah, right on.
So I can come back in 2 weeks and give a report of what
That'd be fun. That would be fun. All right. Well, thank you, Randy. I don't think did I miss any questions, Josh? I might have.
No, I think we might have, but I think we're well over time here.
Yeah, we are out of time.
Do you have any announcements? I got one more before we wrap up.
My announcement. I'm just going to do my net announcements real quick. I actually saw in chat that 14 Charlie might be down for maintenance, so I'm not sure if there's a D-Star net. There is also not a 40-meter net tonight because Kevin is under the weather, so get better, Kevy. Yeah. And so we've got 20 meters, 14,268, they're thereabouts. Thank you, Steve, K7UDI, for taking that. And that's what I've got. If you're not here for Thanksgiving, I'd say happy Thanksgiving, but, we're going to be here, so join us.
Excellent. Well, my last announcement is so the camp out of the Willing is still going on this Friday through Sunday. I'm going to Thomas Mountain with K6ARK. I think it dips maybe at the lows. It'll be in the 30s, so it's totally fine. There's a bit of snow, but it's all pretty much gone now. We did have some serious rain in California. There is a link in the description to the Thomas Mountain campground that we're meeting on, and it's southeast of my location in Southern California here. Not hard to get to. It's outside of Ramona, California. It is both a soda and a POTA, so I will be bringing all kinds of HF goodies to get on the air, including the Buddy Stick Pro and my Go Box and all that fun stuff. It is, again, campiness of the willing, your camp out of the willing. So you are providing your own food and taking care of yourself. There'll be some stuff to share, but make sure you've got some amount of colder weather gear that you'll be okay, and we'll have a lot of fun.
Well, so what he meant was the shareable things was Fireball. I get that. And
and beer.
So Janet and Chip, you guys packing up and doing this? Come on, Gordo. I know you guys put on your backpacks. Let's go.
Maybe not.
Maybe not this year.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us.
We're still trying to dry out from that rainstorm that Josh just mentioned. It was a pretty good one. We got a fair amount.
It was impressive. We don't get rain like that in California, and my street and the adjacent street were completely flooded. I had to pull trash cans out of the storm drain inlet because it was backing up the entire 3 blocks of houses with rain. It was pretty crazy. So
amazing.
All right,
We're
everybody.
done.
Thank you so much for sticking around. We've run a little long, but hopefully this was action-packed ham radio content. So we'll give you
at 10 meters. It opens up, so you can have a lot of fun there.
That's right.
Yes.
And 6 meters. I worked a couple of guys in Ecuador today on 6.
Ooh, very good.
Wow, very nice.
All right, thanks everybody. We'll play you out with some music. 73. See ya.
Awesome. Oh, I love our viewers. They're so cool.
Indeed. Thanks everybody. We appreciate you.
No worries. Glad to be here.